Puppet Master subspecies, and now finally Trancers. I've hit the full moon trifecta of awesome. Trancers is a 1984 sci-fi action film from director Charles Band. The movie opens in the year 2247 at the corner of Blade Runner and Rollerball. This is our hero.
Jack Death, Angel City PD, may I see your stats?
Jack Death? That's the coolest name ever! Jack's stopping at the third location of the ever-popular Mom's chain of diners. He's searching for something called Trancers, people under the control of an evil mastermind named Whistler. They look like regular humans, but really are dead on the inside. Like anyone who's been a host on The View. He heads inside to talk to Miss Peaches and interrogates a guy he suspects is a trancer. While he checks him out, he keeps him at bay with what appears to be a soldering iron. Turns out the guy's clean, but it's really the waitress who's the trancer. The two then duke it out while the guy goes outside to call the cops. She almost gets the better of him, but he manages to get his gun back and shoot her. Good thing trancers are self-cleaning, and nothing is left but the refreshing scent of pine. Jack's boss, McNulty, shows up. It's like he realizes he's overacting and stops himself.
Trancer hunting's on a bounce and you know it!
Jack refuses to go back, so he quits the force. McNulty explains he was once a good cop, that is until a trancer killed his wife. Sometime later, well, it's certainly cleaner than Avalon Beach. Jack's been swimming through the submerged city of Los Angeles looking for scrap. I guess Maynard got his wish. Let's see, I got a hubcap, another hubcap. What's with all the hubcaps? McNulty gives Jack a summons that the High Council wants to see him.
Fuck him.
I like him. Whoa, I think the cameraman almost fell in. McNulty follows to tell him that Whistler, the leader of the Trancers, is still alive. Right next to this toy car is the High Council headquarters. Jack goes inside, and why does the future always have bad plumbing? Ash and Spencer are the last two remaining members of the council. They got a message from Whistler, who managed to send his consciousness into the past and inhabit the body of one of his ancestors. Nope, Assassin's Creed totally didn't rip this off. They call this going down the line. While he's in the past, he's been killing members of the council's ancestors so they're never born. How do they know this? He sent them a message telling them exactly when and where he is. He's like a Bond villain. Whistler appears to have gone into the past and joined a LARPing group. They tell Jack they're going to send him down the line into the body of Philip Death so he can hunt Whistler, who unfortunately is in the body of a police lieutenant. They take him to the time travel room where he meets Rachel Crawford. I'll tell you one thing the future's not lacking. Shoulder pads. They found Whistler's body and they want Jack to go down the line and bring him back to stand trial. Jack is having none of that shit.
That's on my terms.
They give him some gear to take with him into the past. A gun that has a serum that can return his consciousness to the present, and a watch that slows time for 10 seconds. The council gives him pictures of their ancestors and sends him back to Los Angeles in 1985. Holy crap, I'm Bruce Dickinson! Hello, LA! Look at my tits! Jack goes to talk to Lena, a girl Phil picked up at a bar last night. Oh god, I remember those knitted ties! Talk about ancient artifacts. Lena's outfit certainly is festive. Yeah, this collar's popped. It's 'cause I'm the fucking man, and everyone should know it. He takes Lena to her job at the mall. I think this UPS truck was almost in an accident. She tries to blow him off, but he needs her to show him around. Oh, it's Christmas time. A kid's talking to Santa, and apparently what he really wants is a mandroid.
John Doe's a mandroid, and John Doe's a mandroid.
Santa sees Jack, and it turns out he's really a trancer. The two then get into a very slow fist fight. Why do I get the feeling this fight smells like tobacco and pork rinds? Security shows up, and Trancer Santa takes him hostage. Jack shoots him and gets a message from Whistler.
Welcome to the 20th century, Jack Death.
Who said that? He grabs Lena and takes off. So why didn't the Trancer disintegrate? A short time later, Whistler's investigating the evidence, and oh, now it disintegrates. Hey medics, remove this empty body bag that was full a minute ago. No questions! Jack's driving into town and explaining everything to Lena. What the hell is he doing? Is something wrong with the steering? Wouldn't the car be swerving all over the road? He tells Lena he needs her to show him around LA. Jack accidentally dropped the photo of Spencer's ancestor, and Whistler finds it. He goes to talk to Spencer's great-great-great-great-great-grandfather and asks Lena to wait for him. Lena decides, nope. He talks to Chris and hiya! Seems Whistler somehow managed to turn him into a trancer before Jack got there. He sticks Jack in a tanning booth and turns it on high. Jack tries to kick the door down, but it's locked. If it's so hot it burns his coat, how's he able to touch it with his bare hands? Lena has second thoughts and comes back for Jack. Thanks a lot, Lena. Your jacket just got this movie banned in several states. She finds Chris, who killed himself for some reason. Oh, now he disintegrates? Lena hears Jack and removes a surfboard that's blocking the door. I thought for a second that said Man Tube 2. That sounds like... you know what it sounds like. They go to leave, but the cops are there. Whistler tells the cops to shoot, and Jack slows time to get out of there. This certainly is a lot longer than 10 seconds. He throws Lena in the car, and they escape. Lena takes Jack to crash at her friend's place in Chinatown. You know, Jack, they make striker strips, so you don't have to light matches with your mouth. Jack's watching some TV, and Lena brings, what else? Chinese food. After dinner, Lena takes Jack to the punk club downstairs. Oh, I remember this episode. This is where Quincy tries to stop Molly Howard from pushing Abigail Garland into a codeine overdose. It's a pretty subdued mosh pit.
Jerry, I asked you to leave me alone, okay?
Well, you still got some of my tapes, man.
I'll drop them off at your mom's.
Ooh, burn. He's being a douche, so Jack knocks him out. Some of Jerry's goons show up, and I have no idea what this is supposed to be. Jack knocks them all out and tells Sinead O'Connor to leave him alone. Since Jack beat up half the bar of punk rockers, Lena decides it's time for sex. There's a knock at the door and it's McNulty, and the only ancestor he could find. He wants Jack up the line, but he tells him to let him do his job and throws him out. Okay, now where were we? Hey, I was in the middle of something. Okay, Jack's back and McNulty's back. That means they left a 10-year-old kid in the middle of Chinatown with two people she doesn't know having sex. Turns out Chairman Ash panicked and is ordering a replacement to stop Whistler. Jack convinces her he's on the trail, so they send him back down the line. Jack arrives back in 1985, and come on! You couldn't have sent him back an hour ago? Jack wakes up Lena, and they head out to Skid Row to look for Hap Ashby. He gets a box from the future with a new time stopper watch. They don't have any money for a taxi, so Lena hotwires a couple of scooters. Listen, lady, I'm Jack Death. Couldn't you have at least hotwired a motorcycle? They talk to some homeless people who tell him where Ashby is. He's with a bunch of other homeless in an abandoned paper mill. Jack goes into the mill alone. Some cops are sweeping the place, so he hides out in a box. Great! He now has SARS. He goes to get away, but the Trancer cop finds him. He almost shoots Jack, but Lena kills him. They go looking for Ashby, and as convenience would have it, they fall through the floor and land right next to him. Not for nothing, but this was at least a 15-foot drop onto a concrete floor. Nothing's broken? They talk to Ashby, but then Whistler finds them. They get away on the scooters with speeds in excess of 10 miles an hour. Jack and Lena split up. Lena somehow jumps the scooter into this guy's apartment. Seriously, what does she use as a ramp? Then Jack and Hap's stunt doubles take a drive down a flight of stairs. Jack's back in Chinatown to meet Lena. We couldn't have stolen these? He heads up to the apartment where Lena's patching up a bullet wound. He takes Hap and cleans him off. Jack calls Whistler and tells him he wants to trade Hap for his safety. Lena thinks he was serious, but it was just a trap. Whistler doesn't fall for it and captures Lena. Whistler tells him Lena and Peter were his great-whatever grandparents, and if he kills her, he'll cease to exist. He throws her off the roof, so Jack slows down time to save her. Booze! Alcohol powers activate! Hap knocks Whistler off the roof into this conveniently placed fountain. Jack uses the serum and sends Whistler's consciousness back up the line, but since there's no body, he ceases to exist. The police lieutenant now has his body back. Jack used the only serum, so now he's stuck in the past. Wait, didn't they already prove they could send somebody back down the line to retrieve him? Oh, whatever. He decides to stay in the past and have sex with his great-grandmother. I guess you know what this means. I'm my own grandpa! The movie was filmed mostly in Los Angeles, California for about $400,000. Trancers was the first in the series and the only one originally to not fall under the Full Moon banner. It was one of the earliest and most popular movies released from Charles Band's Empire Pictures. The movie had a small theatrical release, but didn't do so well. They renamed it to Future Cop and re-released it, but it did even worse. They changed it back to Trancers, and when it hit home video, it did exceedingly well. The film gained a cult following, and Band resurrected the franchise in 1991 with Trancers 2, and continued until 2002 with Trancers 6. Classic actress Ann Seymour was cast as Chairman Ash. They originally wanted to get Bette Davis, but she turned it down due to scheduling conflicts. The movie had a lot of people Band worked with over again on Full Moon. David Allen, John Carl Buechler, Ted Nicolau, Thelma Hopkins, Art LaFleur, Tim Thomerson, and Helen Hunt. Thomerson met Hunt on a TV sitcom, The Two of Us, in 1981. When casting, Thomerson suggested her to Band, and they liked her so much she was cast in the role of Lena. While she had done movies before, this was her first leading role. Thomerson also suggested the comedian Biff Maynard for the part of Hap Ashby. Maynard got a little too into his character and was frequently drunk. So when Thomerson's dragging him around in certain scenes, it's because he didn't know what he was doing. The great Tim Thomerson was Jack Death. He played Death as a combination of Dirty Harry, Raymond Chandler, and Humphrey Bogart. The script was one Band had on his desk for a while. Jack Death's name in the original was Jack Farragut, the rat catcher. They gave it to Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo, who rewrote it, and the only thing it had in common with the original script was that it was about a cop from the future. They filmed the movie in late July and early August of 1984, which was during the Summer Olympics. Even though the Olympics were taking place in the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, they said the roads in the surrounding areas were surprisingly empty and actually helped with the shoot. For the slow-mo segments, they used a camera that shot 600 frames per second. For the scenes where they were driving in Los Angeles, the car was mounted on the back of a flatbed. Thomerson admits he may have been overdoing it with the steering. The body of Whistler that gets blown up was papier-mâché. The beach scene was filmed at Point Dune, a location that's been used in numerous films, from Planet of the Apes to Iron Man to The Big Lebowski. The movie had a film noir vibe on purpose and was partially inspired by the sci-fi noir Blade Runner. Jack Death's car was a 1955 Mercury Montclair that was modified by Gene Winfield, who built the spinners in Blade Runner. After the fall of Empire Pictures, the 35mm masters of Trancers were lost. Thankfully, they were recovered decades later, and Band was able to have them restored so we could get a full widescreen version on Blu-ray. I love the Trancers series, and I love Tim Thomerson. Much like Dollman, he embodied such a badass he helped to elevate the film beyond its budget. The concept of the film was definitely ahead of its time, and the whole time travel through your ancestors was a stroke of genius. While some of the effects are dated and the action is a little sloppy, it's still a great start to a major cult classic franchise.
Nice tan. It's very Christmassy.
Hey, well, thanks.